Chinese pot, Chinese pot, Chinese pot. That's the way to learn Chinese. Chinese pot, Chinese pot, Chinese pot. That's the way to learn Chinese.
Hi everyone, welcome to Chinese Pod. My name's Fiona.
And my name's Gwilym.
Today we're going to be talking about 过, the character 过. Now let me give you the technical term first. 过 is what we in the trade call a past experience marker. Now the reason we say this instead of past tense is because Chinese and English have very different tense structures, so it's important to get the terminology right so that you can view Chinese grammar with a Chinese frame of mind. Now this 过 deals specifically with experiences, so if you want to emphasize that you've experienced something, you would use this. So when you listen to today's dialogue, I want you to keep that in mind, a past experience marker, emphasizing an experience that you've had.
Now today's dialogue, they're asking, have you been to Beijing and what was it like? So we'll hear about their experiences in Beijing as well as seeing what they did and didn't do.
好，那我们来听听今天的对话。Let's listen to today's dialogue. 对话第一遍。
你去过北京吗？
去过，虽然空气不好，人也有点多，但是那些古迹真的好美。
这样啊，我也很爱参观古迹。你去过北京，一定吃过北京烤鸭吧？
没吃过。
那你白去北京了。
没办法，我吃素啊。
第二遍。
你去过北京吗？
去过，虽然空气不好，人也有点多，但是那些古迹真的好美。
这样啊，我也很爱参观古迹。你去过北京，一定吃过北京烤鸭吧？
没吃过。
那你白去北京了。
没办法，我吃素啊。
第三遍。
你去过北京吗？
去过，虽然空气不好，人也有点多，但是那些古迹真的好美。
这样啊，我也很爱参观古迹。你去过北京，一定吃过北京烤鸭吧？
没吃过。
那你白去北京了。
没办法，我吃素啊。
Okay, let's translate it.
你去过北京吗？
Have you been to Beijing?
你去过北京吗？
Have you been to Beijing?
去过。
Yeah, I've been.
虽然空气不好，
Although the air is bad,
人也有一点多，
and there are quite a few people,
但是那些古迹真的好美。
but the historical sites there are really beautiful.
去过，虽然空气不好，人也有一点多，但是那些古迹真的好美。
I've been, although the air isn't great and there are quite a few people, but the historical sites there are really beautiful.
这样啊，
Oh, it's like that.
我也很爱参观古迹。
I also like to visit historical sites.
你去过北京，一定吃过北京烤鸭吧？
If you've been to Beijing, then you've definitely tried the Peking duck.
这样啊，我也很爱参观古迹。你去过北京，一定吃过北京烤鸭吧？
I see. I also like visiting historical sites. Well, if you've been to Beijing, then you must have definitely tried the roast duck.
没吃过，
I didn't have the experience of eating it.
没吃过。
I didn't eat it.
那你白去北京了。
Then it wasn't worth even going to Beijing.
那你白去北京了。
Then going to Beijing was kind of in vain.
没办法，我吃素啊。
I've got no choice. I eat vegetarian food.
没办法，我吃素啊。
I couldn't have done anything about that. I'm a vegetarian.
Right, before we start today's discussion, I want to give you guys a mini grammar lesson because I think it's super important that you guys understand how 过 is used. So we mentioned before that it's a past experience marker. It's not simply an ED like in English, right? It's to emphasize that you've had this experience. It's always after a verb. So you might hear 我吃过.
I've eaten that. I've had the experience of eating that.
我做过
I've done that before. I've had the experience of doing that.
Or in today's case, it's 去过我去过
I've been there, or I've had the experience of going there before.
So let me give you an example where it might sound a bit awkward. 我昨天去过 Walmart. You might be thinking, well, what's strange about that, Fiona? I'm just saying I had the experience of going to Walmart. I mean, going to a supermarket shouldn't be really not an experience unless it's a very fancy department store or something and you want to highlight, oh, I went to that fancy department store. 我去英国的时候去过 Selfridges. See, in that case, you're emphasizing that experience. But if you simply want to say, I went to Walmart yesterday, you can just say, 我昨天去 Walmart. So the point here is that 过 is always when you're trying to emphasize an experience that you've had. It's that experience that you want to talk about, not the act of going somewhere or doing something or eating something, but that you've had that experience.
So for memorable experiences or trips abroad, you can use this character 过.
Okay, now that we have that mini grammar lesson under our belts, let's move on to the dialogue. 你去过北京吗? So here the speaker wants to emphasize, have you had that experience of going to Beijing?
And they've been, so they just repeat the verb and the 过 character. 去过.
Now they talk a little bit about the experience. 虽然空气不好，人也有一点多，但是那些古迹真的好美。
Now this is quite a long and complex sentence, so let's break it down. It contains a very important grammar structure, which translates as although something, but something else.
虽然 something, 但是 something.
So in this case, although the air quality wasn't good, but the historical sites are really pretty.
So although the air quality was poor, 虽然空气不好，空气 is air. 但是那些古迹真的好美。So 古迹 can span between just a historical site to ancient ruins.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Chinese Pod Trivia. Our first question is, how long will it take you to become an intermediate Chinese speaker using the Chinese Pod app? Is it A, the rest of your life? B, you should already be an intermediate speaker? C, 3 months? Or D, Chinese Pod has an app?
You should already be in.
Ooh, that is incorrect. The correct answer is C, 3 months. That's right. Head over to ChinesePod.com now to register for your access to over 4,000 lessons. Get the Chinese Pod app now on Google Play or the App Store.
Now, in today's case, it's actually more complex than that. They have 2 reasons for why it's maybe not as good as they had hoped.
Here they add 人也有点多. So they've given you 2 points. So 虽然空气不好, although the air was poor, 人也有点多, there were also lots of people, but the historical sites were wonderful, were beautiful. 但是那些古迹真的好美.
Now, they also like visiting historical sites. So what's the word for like visiting?
参观. 参 is to be involved. 观 is to look. So this term, 参观, is often used when you're visiting kind of points of interest, whether it be a museum, a gallery, a historical site, like in today's case. 我也很爱参观古迹. If you use the word 去, 我也很爱去古迹, it sounds it's not strictly speaking wrong, but it sounds awkward because when you go to a historical site, you're not just going there, but you're going there to look around, to be involved in whatever experience that you're going through.
Now, if they've been to Beijing, they've probably tried the most famous dish from there, which is Peking duck, Beijing roast duck.
北京烤鸭. 北京烤鸭.
This character Kao has got a fire radical, and it literally means to kind of barbecue or roast.
鸭 is duck, so 北京烤鸭. Now here the speaker's emphasis is that you must have had this experience of eating Peking duck, right? 你去过北京，一定吃过北京烤鸭吧?
一定 is definitely. 吃过 to have had the experience of eating, and then the duck. What defines a Peking duck, would you say, Fee?
its crispy golden skin, the pancakes that come with it, and I think the sauce is very, very important.
Now, they haven't had this experience.
没吃过. Now here we see the negative form, 没吃过. So Guillermo, I'm going to say the positive and you're going to give me the negative. 吃过.
没吃过。
去过。
没去过。
做过。
没做过。
没错.
So just be careful, don't use the character 不 because we're talking about past things, and when you want to negate past things, you use 没. Now the next sentence contains a character you might be aware of, but in this context it's confusing.
It's not confusing, guys. It's an excellent word to learn. So first of all, let's talk about the word 白. What's the first thing you think of when I say that character, Guillem?
I think of white.
That's right. 白 is white in Chinese, but the character 白 is one of those like multi-functioning words in the Chinese language. In this case, when it's in front of a verb, it means you might as well have not. A lot of stuff for a tiny character, right? You might as well have not done this, or you might as well have not eaten that. It's all in vain. So 白 you can think of as blank, nothing, right? Because it means the character white. So it's like this activity was blank, was nothing.
So let's look at the sentence. They say, then you might as well not have gone to Beijing.
那你白去北京了. So if someone says they went to Japan and they didn't even have any type of ramen, you can say 那你白去日本了. You might as well have not gone to Japan if you didn't have any ramen.
Or maybe you're studying for a test and then the teacher on Friday doesn't actually give you the test. You could kind of be like, oh, it just wasn't even worth studying.
Yes, you can say 书白读了 or 功课白做了.
So the books weren't even worth studying, or the homework wasn't even worth writing. It was all in vain.
Yes, so you put the 白 in front of the verb. Now, if it's a VO compound like 开车, 读书, 洗澡, these types of verbs, you need to separate it. You need to put the action part, the verb part, behind the 白 and the object in front of the 白. So let me give you some examples like 洗澡, 洗澡.
To shower or wash.
So maybe you had a shower, you ran outside and you had to do loads of chores and you ended up sweaty. You'd be like, oh, I might as well have not had that shower before. 澡白洗了. So the original one was 洗澡, right? So we're flipping it. 澡今天那个澡白洗了.
Okay, so you slot it in between and make sure that the verb follows. And in this case, the verb would be to wash, 洗. Now there must be a good reason for them not trying the duck. So what is it?
They say 没办法. I couldn't have done anything about it. 我吃素啊. I'm vegetarian or I'm vegan. 我吃素.
This character 素 you will see on lots of foods, and it means, I guess, vegan or vegetarian or not containing meat.
Yes, so if you're vegetarian or vegan, you can say 我吃素. Now, if you're interested in different types of plant-based diets, we've got a lesson dealing with that specifically, so you can go check that out. Okay, guys, at this point, I want you to take a little breather, right? This lesson is packed with a very important grammar lesson, but it's one of those things that will really carry you through the different levels, so it's important to get right. And if at this point you feel like you've been run over by a bus, take a break, have a cup of tea, maybe listen to the discussion one more time before approaching the dialogue.
Okay, well, how about we listen to the dialogue 3 more times?
好，那我们再来听听今天的对话. Let's listen again to today's dialogue. 对话第一遍。
你去过北京吗？
去过，虽然空气不好，人也有点多，但是那些古迹真的好美。
这样啊，我也很爱参观古迹。你去过北京，一定吃过北京烤鸭吧？
没吃过。
那你白去北京了。
没办法，我吃素啊。
第二遍。
你去过北京吗？
去过，虽然空气不好，人也有点多，但是那些古迹真的好美。
这样啊，我也很爱参观古迹。你去过北京， 一定吃过北京烤鸭吧？
没吃过，
那你白去北京了。
没办法，我吃素啊。
第3遍。
你去过北京吗？
去过，虽然空气不好，人也有点多，但是那些古迹真的好美。
这样啊，我也很爱参观古迹。你去过北京，一定吃过北京烤鸭吧？
没吃过，
那你白去北京了。
没办法，我吃素啊。
Willem， 你去过日本吗？
去过. I've been. Fiona, have you been to the Sydney Opera House?
没有，我没去过，我没参观过 Sydney Opera House. I haven't had that experience, unfortunately. 但是 but 虽然我现在吃素 while I'm vegetarian now, 但是我有吃过北京烤鸭。我以前很喜欢吃北京烤鸭。
Sophie's just used one of the key sentences there. Although she's now a vegetarian, but she has had the experience of eating Beijing roast duck and she used to love it.
Okay, guys, we hope you enjoyed today's lesson and we'll see you again next time. 再见.
As usual, ChinesePod provides an extensive selection of learning materials for this lesson on its website, www.chinesepod.com. You can access this lesson directly with the lesson number 3016. So just go to www.chinesepod.com/3016 and you will find a transcript, vocabulary, and much more. The link again, www.chinesepod.com/3016.